We're going to continue our surface area lesson, and so make sure that you have the correct packet. It looks like this on the front, breaking the fourth wall. We're going to review our learning goals. Remember, we are focusing on surface area, and the actual target tells us that we should be able to find the surface area of a polyhedra. Remember, that is just polyhedron. That's when we turn those two-dimensional squares, rectangles, and triangles into three-dimensional shapes, such as cubes. Now, we've really been working with rectangular prisms, and so we're going to move on and do um, pyramids and some other kinds of shapes here. And I don't know why I can't get myself to move out of the way. There we go. So once again, we're kind of reviewing our nets. And so go ahead and find this page in your packet. Goodness gracious. And so we have the actual definition here of a pyramid. So I want you to make sure that you pause the video and put that in your online glossary in OneNote. And a pyramid is a polyhedron with one base. Remember, the prisms had two, a lid. And so it has the same number of triangular faces as there are sides of the base. And then there's, of course, a vertex. That is a point. Okay, so we can see the one base, and then we see the triangular faces. So we have to review how to find the area of a triangle in order to find the surface area of a pyramid. Okay, now another vocabulary word that I want you to pause and please put in your glossary is slant height. It's the distance measured along a triangular face from the vertex to the midpoint of the edge. Now, that sounds like a lot, but I'm going to show you what they're talking about. It's this line, remember? It makes a 90-degree angle with the base of the triangle. We have to know that it's what you would be thinking about the height when we're finding the area of that triangle, okay? The one inside, we can see this line here, that's the height of the whole entire pyramid. That is not what we're going to need to find the area of the triangle. We need the actual slant height, okay? Because we're working with surface area. Okay, some more vocabulary that we're going to work with is the number of faces, vertices, and edges. And we kind of talked about this the other day. So I'm going to do A, and I want to show you how this works, and then you can finish it and just raise your hand and have me check you. Is it a prism or a pyramid? Well, we can see that this first one has to be a prism because it does not have just one point. I can see a base and I see a matching shape that would be maybe the lid. So we're going to write the word prism in here. The shape of the base. Well, I can see that it's sitting on a triangle. The number of faces. So when we're talking about faces, we're talking about these shapes that we are finding the area of and adding it up. So we have to think there's a bottom and a top, so that's two faces. And those are triangles, so we're going to have three sides to the box. So that would be a total of 5 faces. The vertices are all of the points. So we can see 1, 2, 3 here, and then we know there should be 3 more at the bottom. So that's a total of 6. Now the edges can be tricky. The edges are going to be, let me see if the sparkly pen is going to be where the 2 edges come together. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 along the back. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so you really have to think about what it is three-dimensionally. And I will get out my three-dimensional shapes to have in the room. So if you want to grab one and kind of be able to see it in a three-dimensional format, you can. Okay, so you guys try to finish that, pause the video, and then raise your hand and let me take a look at it. Okay, next slide. We are going to just quickly take a look at some of these and label. This is a level 2.0. Remember, we're still learning the vocabulary. And what they want us to be able to recognize is the base of this is a square. Okay, so it would be a square. And then we can see the triangles. We can envision that they would fold up to make the three-dimensional pyramid. because everything's going to come to a point. Let's try another one. Here we can see the bases would be these two triangles. And in this net drawing, we can actually see how they would fold down and make the lid and the bottom. So we would name it triangle, but we make it a little bit fancier and call it triangular. And then we know that since it has two bases, it would be a prism. Once again, I can see the base here in the middle is a triangle. And then we know that those other triangles are going to fold up to make a pyramid. So we put that fancy ending to the word triangular, and then we have pyramid. Last one, this is what we worked on all last week. We see the rectangle, so we call it a rectangular. And then I can see that there's going to be a lid to this, that there would be two bases the same size. And so I know that's going to be a prism. Okay. Now, when we get to something like this and we're calculating the surface area, remember, we're going to ignore all these decimals. We're not there yet. Okay. We're just practicing the surface area. We can see that we are going to have to find the area of some triangles. Okay. So let's take a look at this. We can see that it's 15. The height of that triangle is 8. So I know I'm going to have to take 15 times 8 and then cut it in half to find the area of this green triangle. Okay, we have another one the same size right there. Now, for those of you I've been sharing hints with, so if you haven't learned this already, go ahead and think about it now. I think about the numbers 15 and 8. 8 is even. So I'm going to cut that in half before I multiply and make my life a little easier. 15 times 4, let's see, 4 times 5 is 20. So that's going to be 60. So that tells me this one is 60 and this one is 60. Now I can move on and find the area of this. Well, I already know it's a 15. It's just a rectangle, so I'm just multiplying. And I can see this measurement is going to be 12. So I got a 15 times 12. And it looks like I only have one of those. There's no lid. This isn't the lid. This is just one of the sides. Then I have a 12 by 12 here. That's going to fold up. And so then that means this has to be a 12 by 12. Okay. So 12 by 12. I know that's 144. And remember, I have two of the yellow ones. This is the yellow one. Okay. This one right here is the purple. So you have to be careful on some of these. You're not always going to have two of everything like with the rectangular prisms. Okay. So let's see. I got to work the math. I don't know what 15 times 12 is. 15 times 12. So 2 times 5 is 10. And I'm going to add those up, 180. So that's 180. Then 144 times 2 is going to be 288. So really what we're going to do now is we're going to line up all those numbers. I got my a 60 there, a 180 there, a 288, and then I have a one more, a 60. I'm actually going to erase this and kind of line it up a little better. Okay, so I got 8, 12, 28. And if you don't add this fast, that's okay. Just take your time. I'm getting 588 total for my surface area. Okay, make sure you get all that copied down. Watch it again if you need to process it. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, now we have some weird numbers. So I'm going to make that an 8. This is an 8. And we're just going to make that a 2. Okay, so it doesn't really matter what you start with. Let's find the area of this square. Also, I want you to be thinking about this would be considered a square. The triangles are going to fold up to form one vertices, so it's going to be a pyramid. Okay, so to find the area of the purple part, we know it's a square. We're just going to multiply 8 times 8, and we get 64. Okay, now I'm looking at the triangle. I'm going to concentrate on one triangle, and I know the base of it would have to be 8 because that's the side length of my square. I see the height of it is 2. Okay, so I'm thinking about 8 times 2 divided by 2, because remember that's the formula to find the area of a triangle. So I can cut 8 in half before I multiply. Half of 8 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Now I want you to think. All of the triangles that make the sides have to be the same size. So how many do we have? Yep, we have 4 of them, don't we? So we're going to go ahead and take 8 times 4, which is 32. Now, by multiplying it by 4, I'm highlighting those yellow because they're all the same size, and then I can do a checklist. Okay, I've got 4 triangles, 8 times 4 took care of that. I've got my purple part for the base, 8 times 8 takes care of that. So I have collected all the areas. So now I just have to find the total, which is going to be 96. That's measured in meters squared. Okay, now there are 3 more problems. And so I'm going to go through and I'm just taking off the decimals. So I want you to be thinking on this one. Sometimes what I do is when I see that triangle, I draw the triangle and I think it's a 4 and then my height is a 5 of the triangle. I draw it separately. How many of those do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So whatever the area of this is, I'm going to multiply it times 4. Then you just have to get the area of the square base, which is a 4 times 4. Okay, I'm kind of giving you some hints. What do we do when we get both those numbers? You're going to add them up, okay? The next one, I'm not going to change any of the numbers. We've just got 10 and 6. And then on the last one is a cube. So let's just take the 2's off. Now, if you want to challenge yourself and work with those decimals, leave them alone. Okay, so I'm going to end the video now. I want you to go back and finish those last 3. Raise your hand and let me check you, and then I'll give you some more practice, and then we're ready to pretty much assess this again and move on. Good job.